Hello everyone, and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. Welcome back to our Uddhava-gita course. Now this is a very special class. In the last class we went through the 28 qualities, reading the verses directly from Krishna, verses 29 to 32 of chapter 11, and of course we're in the 11th Canto. So now we went through that. I read the verse, I explained the verse, but now we're going to stay in this so important topics, because now I'm going to read for you the purport. So this is from the previous acharyas, their comments on each one of these qualities. So there are such wonderful qualities. The more time we spend meditating on these qualities, the more we can absorb them. So it's a very important class today. Again, the 28 qualities of perfection, of a pure devotee, of what Krishna describes, as the topmost qualities we can cultivate. So, very important. And again, if you want to watch the previous class, especially the last one, where we cover this topic in detail as well, make sure you become a member of this channel. The instructions are here in the description of the video. As a member of the channel, you can access the entire Uddhava-gita course, which is for members only. And this is already our 47th class. So there's a lot of material there already, and there will be a lot more coming. So here we go then. So let me just start directly with the purport, so as not to be too repetitive. I don't want to read again the 29 to 32, the verses 29 to 32, but I'm going to start directly with the purport, and we're going to go one by one through these qualities. Okay, so verses 29, so this is the purport. Verses 29 to 31 describe 28 qualities of a saintly person, and verse 32 explains the highest perfection of life. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the 17th quality, mat sharana, or taking complete shelter of Lord Krishna, is the most important. And the other 27 qualities automatically appear in one who has become a pure devotee of the Lord. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvir gunes tatra samasate sura. The 28 saintly qualities may be described as follows. So let's go through them now, one by one. But let's just stop here and mention this one point, mat sharana. So important, of course. It's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. It's like the ultimate instruction of Bhagavad Gita. Take shelter of me alone, Krishna says. And of course, this is a huge component in spiritual life, in bhakti. Once you've activated bhakti, devotion, taking shelter, sharana, huge thing. You feel all this wonderful protection, this divine protection from the Lord. That's why even you can see here I worship Lord Nrsingadev, which is the topmost representation of protection of a devotee. So it's a wonderful quality to develop, feeling God always taking care of you. So let's go one by one now. First quality, kripalu. A devotee cannot tolerate seeing the world merged in ignorance and suffering, the whiplashes of Maya. Therefore, he busily engages in distributing Krishna consciousness and is called kripalu, or merciful. So kripa, mercy, to have this compassion, to want to help others. Such a beautiful quality. You've started your spiritual life when you're worried about things that have no impact on you. You're fine, but you want to help people who are suffering from something which has no impact on you. So that's kripa. It's when your mind is expanded and you can feel the suffering of others way beyond your circle, even beyond things that bother you, but it's hurting people. So you hear about something far away, it's nothing to do with you. You don't know anyone there, but you want to help them. And maybe you're fine, you're peaceful, but still the devotee, he's not just enjoying his own state of high consciousness. He feels for the others who are suffering, the burdens of material life, of confusion, anxiety, being lost in life. So they want to help out as much as possible. Kripa. 2. Akrita droha. If someone is offensive toward a devotee does not become offensive in return. Indeed, he never acts against the interest of any living entity. One may argue that great Vaishnava kings such as Maharaj Yudhishthira and Parikshit Maharaj executed many criminals. However, when justice is properly administered by the state, sinful, destructive persons actually benefit from their punishment because they become freed from the severe karmic reactions to their illicit activities. A Vaishnava ruler gives punishment not out of envy or malice, but in faithful obedience to the laws of God. The Mayavadi philosophers who want to kill God by imagining that he does not exist are certainly Krita Droha, or most injurious to themselves and others. The impersonalist imagines that he himself is supreme and thus creates a most dangerous situation for himself and his followers. Similarly, the karmis who are dedicated to material sense gratification are also killers of the self, because by their absorption in material consciousness, they lose all chance of experiencing the absolute truth and the truth of their own self. Therefore, all living entities who come under the control of materialistic regulations and duties are unnecessarily harassing themselves and others, and a pure Vaishnava feels great compassion and concern for them. A devotee never uses his mind, body, or words to perform any act harmful to the welfare of any living entity. So, akrita droha, you no longer can even conceive of using your abilities, your power, whatever, everything that you are, words, intelligence, fame, power, money, you can't imagine using any of you to bring harm to others, to make others feel bad, feel worse, of course, self-defense, like they mentioned, you have the laws, you defend yourself, that's one thing. That's just the laws, just maintaining the welfare of the community. So that's important. But for you yourself, you would never just out of malice, even if you don't want to hurt someone, you don't want somebody to suffer. Somebody hurts you, you want to defend yourself, you want to make sure they don't hurt other people in the future, but you have no interest in hurting back just for the sake of, we'll get you back. Revenge, that kind of mentality. Like, you went down this level, so I'm going to go down to your level as well. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. If somebody is operating on a lower level of consciousness, you don't want to go down to that level as well. No, you want to maintain your high state of consciousness, of compassion, of mercy. Of course, you want law and order again, so, that's why we need law and order, you need security forces, you need people to defend you and protect you. You need a government to have an effective system of law and order, of course, or else life is completely hellish. But you yourself never hurt others, even with words, with spite. Just always, you want to see everybody, because you identify, they're part of you, they're all family members, we're all one giant family, all sons and daughters of God. So you never want to hurt anyone for no reason. 3. Titikshu. A devotee forgives and forgets any offense against himself. A Vaishnava is personally detached from his material body, which is made of pus, stool, blood, and so on. Therefore, the devotee is able to overlook the obnoxious behavior he sometimes meets with in the course of preaching work and always deals with people as a perfect gentleman. A Vaishnava loudly chants the holy name of the Lord and tolerates and forgives those fallen conditioned souls who are unable to reciprocate properly with a pure devotee. So titikshu, forgiveness. Just forgive anybody who attacks you. Sometimes people come to you and ask for forgiveness and you didn't even feel it, you didn't even register, because you never need to forgive anyone, because you should never be offended by anyone. Just people behave the way they do, they're influenced by the modes. As a yogi, you've observed your mind for many, many years. And so you know how the modes affect the mind. and previous conditioning, the vasanas, the previous samskaras and the vasanas. And so you know that people just act under the condition, under the weight of the modes of their previous thoughts, and they don't have any control of their mind. These are people who aren't observing their mind, they're not controlling their mind, they're just lost. So when such people misbehave, and you happen to be the victim of that misbehavior, because you just, it was just your turn to be in front of that person, Krishna just wanted you to experience that, to test your tolerance or something. You don't have to even, why would you even notice? I tell my students, it's like when you're walking down the street and sometimes you go by a gate and a dog will bark. So the dog is barking. Nobody cares that the dog is barking. You don't become offended at that. It's just the dog is being a dog, and it's like, okay, he's barking, you just carry on. You just move down the street, right? You don't oh no, why are you barking at me? How dare you, dog, I'm gonna get you for this. And then you start barking back. Wouldn't that be crazy? Well, that's what we do when we react and try to hurt people who are behaving badly. That makes no sense. You just maintain your position, your focus on doing good and doing dharma, on serving Krishna, because every action you have is your way of serving Krishna. You want to please Krishna with everything you do. So you're not going to please anyone by misbehaving, by being a jerk, by being mean, by being spiteful. You're not going to please anyone like that. So always maintain, even if attacked, titikshu. 4. Satya Sara. A devotee always remembers that he is the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is omniscient, the reservoir of all pleasure, and the ultimate enjoyer of all activities. By avoiding activities outside devotional service, a devotee remains fixed in the truth and does not uselessly waste time and become bold, does not uselessly waste time and thus becomes bold, powerful, and steady. So Satya Sara, Satya, truthfulness, always truthful, attached to truth. Truth, Satya, is one of the 4 pillars of Dharma. Very important. The whole path of spirituality is to go away from untruth, from avidya, from lack of knowledge, from illusion, maya. The whole path of awakening is to become fixed in truth, in reality. In my 3T path, I talk about as leaving the fantasy paradigm and assuming the reality paradigm. It's all about truth. The world as it is, you as you are, reality, beyond the veils of illusion. So always focused on truth. Anavadhyatma. A devotee knows that the material world is a temporary phantasmagoria and therefore does not envy anyone in any material situation. He never tries to agitate others or criticize them unnecessarily. Okay, so not envy. Anavadhyatma, no envy. What does it mean, envy? Envy means somebody has something, you don't like that they're doing better than you, and you want to hurt them. It's a very common, emotion in the world, because once you are in the fantasy paradigm, you're wishing for all these things. You're hoping you had all these things because you're thinking these things will make you happy. So when somebody has them, then you want to see them fall. You want to see them lose it. You want to see them suffer. So we love envy. That's why we love gossip. Oh yeah, you want to hear all the dirt on all those people. That's why we love all this nonsense talk about the celebrities did this and the famous person did that. Oh, good. We want to hear all the, the sordid details, because it's envy. It's envy. We want their position. We can't have it. So we want to see them suffer and lose it. And of course, a yogi is far away from that, because a yogi just wants what everybody can have, which is devotion to Krishna, which is being the best person they can be, focused on Dharma, being in the here and now. Everybody can have this. There's no scarcity. There's no point in me envying somebody for having it, because I can have it too. I just need to do it. It just depends on me alone. It doesn't depend on any other factor. That's how we become free from envy. 6. Sama. A devotee remains steady and equal in material happiness or distress, fame or infamy. His actual wealth is his consciousness of Krishna, and he understands that his real self-interest lies outside the scope of material nature. He does not become excited or depressed by external events, but remains fixed in consciousness of the omnipotency of Lord Krishna. So huge topic, Sama. Of course, we always talk about this steady mind, equanimity. Topic from the beginning to the end of Bhagavad-gita, equanimity, hugely important. It's the sign that you're focused on your spiritual self, equanimity. Without Sama, there's something wrong. Your mind is in the material platform. You're not living spiritual consciousness. You have exited the stage of spiritual consciousness if you're not experiencing Sama. So it's a great little warning light to have on your existential dashboard. As soon as you're like, good, bad, and you're getting into the duality, whoa, what's going on? Okay, I left the lanes, I left my spiritual lane, and I'm off here in the world of karmic foolishness. So, very important, Sama. 7. Sarvopakaraka. Neglecting one's selfish desires and working for the satisfaction of others is called paropakara, whereas causing trouble to others for one's personal gratification is called parapakara. A devotee always works for the pleasure of Lord Krishna, who is the resting place of all living entities. And thus a devotee's activities are ultimately pleasing to everyone. That's why sarvo-pakara, sarvo, everyone, sarvo-parapakara, sarvo-paropakara, pleasing to everyone. Devotional service to Lord Krishna is the perfectional stage of welfare work, since Lord Krishna is the supreme controller of everyone's happiness and distress. Foolish persons under the influence of false egotism, considering themselves to be the ultimate well-wishers of others, execute superficial materialistic activities rather than attending to the external happiness of others. Because a devotee remains pure and engages in missionary activities, he is everyone's best friend. So again, same qualities, right? You can see like they overlap, right? We talked about being merciful, kripalu. We talked about being having forgiveness, never offending anyone, never hurting, and so. Same idea. Your mind is now no longer stuck in pure egotism. You're now considering others because you've taken care of yourself, and now your mind reaches out further. Your mind, a calm mind, can expand. As it expands, it becomes aware of others, more and more aware. So now the others' well-being concerns, they're your concerns now. You can expand that, so then you want to help everyone and make sure no one gets hurt. It's just an expansion of your consciousness. 8. Kamer ahatadi. Ordinary persons see all material things as objects for their personal gratification, and thus try to acquire or control them. Ultimately, a man wants to possess a woman and enjoy sense gratification with her. The Supreme Lord supplies the desired fuel that causes the fire of lust to burn painfully in one's heart, but the Lord does not give self-realization to such a misguided person. Lord Krishna is transcendental and neutral, but if one is eager to exploit the Lord's creation, the Lord gives one facility through Maya, and one becomes cheated of real happiness by entangling himself in the false role of a great and lusty enjoyer of the world. On the other hand, one who has taken full shelter of Krishna is enriched with perfect knowledge and bliss, and is not cheated by the seductive appearances of the material world. A pure devotee does not follow the path of the foolish deer, which is seduced by the hunter's horn and killed. A devotee is never attracted by the sensuous entreaties of a beautiful woman, and he avoids hearing from bewildered karmis about the so-called glories of material acquisition. Similarly, a pure devotee is not bewildered by the aroma or taste. He does not become attached to sumptuous eating, nor does he spend the whole day making arrangements for bodily comfort. The only actual enjoyer of God's creation is the Lord Himself, and thus living entities are secondary enjoyers who experience unlimited pleasure through the Lord's pleasure. This perfect process of experiencing pleasure is called bhakti-yoga, or pure devotional service, and a devotee never sacrifices his auspicious position of steady intelligence, even in the face of so-called material opportunity. So, kama. Kama means any sort of material pleasure which you then prioritize over your dharma. It's not saying you can't have pleasure. You can't sit down in a comfortable place, no, put some nails there, and you can't eat a good meal. No, make sure the meal is disgusting, burn it and put tons of salt in it or something. No, you enjoy life, you enjoy walks and health, and you sit down in a chair and you see a flower, all these enjoyments naturally come. The problem with kama is when we put kama above dharma. That's the problem. So then you lost tapas. Tapas means you always put dharma over kama. So what guides you is dharma. What you're going to do, how you're going to do it, your decisions are guided by dharma. That means you're a yogi. You've got the qualifications to become a yogi. Now you just have to offer those things to Krishna and you're all set. So kama afterwards. Kama comes, pleasure comes naturally. But when you put kama on top, that's when all trouble starts. So when you ignore dharma and come on top, and then you'll kill for some taste of, just to taste something nice for your tongue, you'll cheat on your wife, you'll steal, you'll destroy nature, you do all sorts of horrible things because then you put kama on top. And then life is a general mess, and you hurt people and you hurt yourself ultimately too. So of course a devotee, he isn't lost in that sense. 9. Danta. A devotee is naturally repelled by sinful activities and controls his senses by dedicating all his acts to Krishna. This requires steady concentration and a cautious mentality. Danta. 10. Mridu. A materialistic person will always see people as friends or enemies, and thus will sometimes justify cruel or small-minded behavior in order to subdue his opponents. Since the devotee has taken shelter of Lord Krishna, he does not consider anyone his enemy and is never disturbed by the tendency or to desire or enjoy the suffering of others. Thus he is mridu, or gentle and sublime. So again, same thing, same idea, right? You see these things are like kind of closing off the same concept. You're gentle, mridu. You want everybody happy. You don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want anybody suffering. To the contrary, you want to see everybody happy, engaged, finding themselves, taking shelter of Krishna. You just want joy. You experience joy, and you want everyone to experience joy. So of course, you're gentle and sublime. 11. Suchi. A devotee never touches that which is impure or improper. Suchi means clean. And simply by remembering such a pure devotee, one is freed from the tendency to sin. Because of his perfect behavior, a devotee is called Suchi, or pure. So Suchi, pureness, cleanliness, of course, is a huge topic, right? Socham is a huge topic of, the mode of goodness, one of the main qualities. Because you need purity, you need this cleanliness to elevate your state of consciousness, to be yourself, free from things dragging you down, closing your vision. So Suchi, pure, is a common and important quality for yogis. Yama niyamas, top of the list. Socham, it's always there in these lists. 12. Akinchana. A devotee is free from possessiveness and is not eager to enjoy or renounce anything, since he considers everything to be Krishna's property. So akinchana, free from the concept that something is yours. You're not the proprietor. Free from the false idea of being the proprietor. Of course, we're not even material. So how can we own anything material? We're not even of this world of gunas, of matter, this dimension. We're not from this dimension at all. So how can I own anything if I'm not even in the same dimension of the things around me? I am of the spiritual dimension. I am not Prakriti. This is Prakriti. These are the gunas. This is the world of gunas. I am not Prakriti. I'm not made of gunas. I am consciousness. I'm Brahman. I'm spiritual. So this is not this, I'm just a different dimension to this. So you can understand if you're not the proprietor of anything, because it's not even the same reality. 13. Aniha. A devotee never acts on his own behalf, but rather for the service of Lord Krishna. He is therefore aloof from ordinary worldly affairs. So how does that work? Well, look at Arjuna in the Bhagavad-gita, perfect example, right? Seems very, very ordinary and worldly. A battle to reestablish the emperor. That seems as worldly as you can get. And that's why Bhagavad-gita is spoken in such a dramatically, a seemingly material stage. It's like this, so like shockingly, oh my God, it's a battle. It's like opposing, armies to establish the emperor, to decide who's going to be emperor. I mean, that sounds so materialistic. But then, of course, it's just Krishna showing, look, it's not about getting the empire, and it's not about not getting the empire. It's about doing your dharma. Again, tapas, prioritizing your dharma above kama. Whatever your desire, Arjuna didn't desire the empire, he didn't want to fight. But Krishna says, no, it's not that it's not about getting the empire. You're not here fighting to get the empire. You're here fighting because it's your dharma. It's your duty. So it's not about desires. It's about doing your duty, your dharma, living your purpose. So aniha, you're aloof from ordinary because you're always focused on purpose, on serving and pleasing Krishna through purpose. It goes up beyond dharma. That's why Krishna says in the end of Bhagavad Gita, no, don't depend on dharma. Come to me alone. Because it's not even about the dharma. The dharma is just the bridge we use. It's just the situation we use to please Krishna. Our real goal, which is then completely transcendental, is to always please Krishna. That's what we do. That's it. That is the existential meaning of our being, just to please Krishna. And this pleasing Krishna is love. And love fills us with bliss. So it's this ultimate bliss of serving Krishna. And Krishna's trying to serve us and we're trying to serve Krishna. And it's just this exchange of love. That's bhakti. That's bhakti-yoga. So that's the platform we're trying to reach, of just pure love. Just the soul and its perfect existence in pure love. So the doing our dharma, doing our purposes, and again for Arjuna it seemed like horrible doing the battle. Whatever yours might be going to an office, might be taking care of children, might be mowing the lawn today. Whatever your purpose, your dharma is right now at this moment today, that's your means to which you want to please Krishna. It's how you're going to please Krishna. That's the purpose, is to get to that purpose of love. So it's got nothing to do with ordinary worldly affairs. Very important point. As I say, dharma is your bridge from matter to spirit. That's dharma. That's how you bridge matter to spirit, bhakti. Okay, so we're going to have to stop here. And we've only done 13 of the 28 qualities, so make sure you come back next week, if Krishna allows, for us to continue with this wonderful list, and Krishna will bless us and we can finish the list next week. So we've been very blessed to have, so many classes on this wonderful topic. Hare Krishna.